He was the most celebrated general of the Third Reich, a man respected even by his enemies. But one day, the regime knocked, whom he served, at his door, not with orders, but with poison. This is the story of Erwin Rommel, the hero Hitler feared. Erwin Rommel. The name stands for military excellence and personal bravery. In North Africa, he wrote battle plans that opponents surprised and led his men from the front, not from the desk. This combination of leadership skills, personal commitment, and tactical instinct made him in Germany and internationally to a legend. But glory is double-edged. It brings admiration, influence, and danger when those in power see him as a threat. BOM in 1891 in Heidenheim, Rommel grew up in a bourgeois environment. His rise was a result of consequence, intelligence, and hard work. During the First World War, he distinguished himself courage and initiative. Even later, he always tried military problems pragmatically and quickly to solve. These skills led him to the ranks, the Wehrmacht, and finally nearby Hitler's. But closeness did not mean consent. Rommel was military, not an ideologue. He pursued goals that, in his view, military success, and not definitely political doctrine. Deployment in non-Africa from 1941 changed the perception in Germany. From his little one, he formed a poorly supplied unit, attacking association, the opponent in riddles, and forced withdrawal. Speed, deception, and individual initiative made him successful. The results reached the public. Newspapers and propaganda transformed him into a symbol. At the same time, the discrepancy has increased between Homer's practical military reality, Hitler's political worldview. Rommel had experience with logistics neglect, lack of support, and unrealistic directive experience. The doubts nourished. Rommel was not an uncritical follower. He took orders seriously, but he analyzed also the consequences. Through letters and conversations, he began talk openly about the situation, lack of supplies, strategic priorities, which helplessness towards political hubris. As commander-in-chief in West Germany saw, it makes the strategic reality clearer. The defense needed, mobile reserves, flexible tank use, and logistics priorities. Hitler remained stubborn. The gap between the military expertise and political dogma deepened Rommel's isolation and increased his risk in a system which did not tolerate deviation. Defeat in North Africa, Rommel's greatest phase of success, but his reputation remained. He returned to Europe and took over important tasks in coastal protection. Rommel knew the invasion was coming and warned the beaches must be secured, the tanks be bound where they are most effective against landings. Could be. Hitler rejected pragmatic solutions. Instead, he affirmed a doctrine based on ideological beliefs rather than based on military reality. Holmes' frustration grew. His recommendations he ignored as authority. Undermined. The attack on the July 20th, 1944 changed everything. Stauffenberg brought a bomb Führer headquarters. The attack failed. The government's response was brutal and systematically. Under the pressure of the Gestapo, names fell, often referred to as torture. Organ was included in the circle of accused, not by clear evidence, but by testimony, rumors, and political necessity. Hitler had every doubt about the leadership is unacceptable. A popular field marshal. Doubt was more dangerous than ordinary conspirators. The loyalty of the troops and the shock the population. In the autumn of 1944, a decision was made that sealed Rommel's fate. On the 14th in October, two generals appeared before him, Hausen-Hurlingen, Wilhelm Bogdorf, and Ernst Meisel. They did not bring an indictment. They brought a choice constructed by the power to controlling public reputation. Rommel was presented with three options: public trial with anticipated death, sentence and humiliation of the family, arrested and presumably cruel treatment, or taking a lethal, Substance. Declare an honorable death in state propaganda, as natural death would be spent. Rommel understood that an open process, undermining the order and his family would destroy. In this system, his loyalty and his popularity is at the same time his protection and his burden. Rommel made a decision under the pressure to protect their families. He said goodbye quietly, put on his uniform, put on medals, and got into the car. On a remote road, he took the capsule. Witnesses reported that he acted calmly, without screaming, without dramatic words. He crushed the capsule and fell. Officially, the regime gave other causes of death, consequences of previous injuries, heart attack, thrombosis. Propaganda stages death as state mourning to nip every question in the bud, suffocate, and around the image of an honorable ends to preserve a picture. It was politically useful to the regime. The official version was immediately instrumentalized. State ephemeral, wreaths, praise, everything served to make the narrative to form. Himmler as a loyal soldier who died in the line of duty. Behind the scenes, however, the truth is hidden. A popular general had been eliminated because its existence is the authority of the dictator was questioned. His family remained in fear. His wife was silent. His son witnessed a loss. The mechanics of the regime worked. Threatening truths had been concealed. Potentially unstable symbols neutralized. The post-war view of Rome is complex. For some, he is the clean soldier, man who abdicated Nazi, crimes distanced. For others, it is part of the military, Ben, who supported the regime until he realized where the system was leading. The truth is in shades of gray. Rommel served the regime for a long time, but he apparently felt conflicts of conscience. His end was not a heroic sacrifice, classical sense, but the result political calculations, a forced death, to control the public to retain perception. Rommel's case teaches a clear lesson. In totalitarian systems, fame does not protect before persecution. He can even provoke them. A regime that is weighed on absolute loyalty supports will remove everyone acting as an independent authority established. Rommel's popularity made him unpredictable. For Hitler, his later doubts made him attackable. He became a military strategist, a political problem, and the regime solved this problem radically and effective. Today, Erwin Rommel rests in Herlingen. His grave is simple, but his name remains controversial. Hero, followers, late prayer conscience, depending on perspective. His death is emblematic of relationship of power, loyalty and morality in times of terror. Hitler forced him to die because he was afraid that a revered general, the basis of his rule, could undermine. The irony is bitter. The man who fought for his country was wiped out by its own leader. This is the clear truth, which emerges from Rome's biography, unembellished and irrevocable.